The reason why you've gone through so much pain and suffering is because you're strong enough to endure that pain. Because once you understand it, you're going to be able to help out people heal through it. Remember, my whole life, I wanted to be the Tom Brady and Michael Jordan of something. So to me, to be able to be like, whoa, I'm that strong that I went through all that. You know, it was like, I got what I've always wanted.
Welcome back to another episode of the Journey to Solutions podcast, where we interview people from all walks of life and we highlight one simple truth. Regardless of your current situation or your past circumstances, there is a life beyond your wildest dreams that resides ahead of you. And we believe that our testimonies are living blueprints to another person's breakthrough. Today, we got a special guest, the hope dealer, the face of recovery, and a great friend of mine, Fausto Castellanos.
What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, brother? How we doing today?
Just healing. Just healing right now.
What are you healing from? Let's talk about it. Let's get right to the chase. I'm sure our viewers are seeing what's going on with your face.
Yeah, you guys can see my face. I got some stitches right here. I got some stitches on my lip. A few days ago, fell out, hit my face on I think my catfish bowl, sliced open my eyelid, bit at my lip in 3 places, pissed all over myself, and I had to get rushed to the ER.
It's crazy to think about that, even still to this day, right? For our listeners, that we're still constantly going through obstacles and different things within our life that we're working through. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I think it was just, I'm epileptic, for one. So I do have seizures. I've been epileptic since 5th grade because I got a concussion in 4th grade. And so I've needed medication since 5th grade. 18 years old, impulsively, immaturely, just said I don't want to take my medication no more. Doctors were against it. But for whatever reason, I wasn't having seizures. And so I needed to be seizure-free for 3 years to get my license. So I get my license. But then obviously, I had a lot of, some drug-induced seizures, but that's due to drugs. So when I got sober, I was good. For about 5 years, I was good. And out of nowhere, high stress levels of good things in life. But even good things can become, a curse. And I had a seizure, and that one left me half brain dead for a month.
I remember that.
So that was 2023. And so now again, last week, whatever triggered it, whether it's stress, whether it's supplements, whether it's whatever, I had a moment, and I just woke up and I was bleeding like this again. I had to get rushed to the ER. And so I'm pretty sure it was a seizure, because usually that's what it is, right? It's I blank out, don't know what happens, piss myself, whatever. You chew your tongue a lot. That's why they said be careful. So I chewed my lip. And life still happens. Yeah,
my brother struggled with epilepsy for countless years, and he was saying that the other day when I was talking to him and I was sharing with him what happened with you. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I would fall out and I would wake up and I look at myself in the mirror and I would have no idea what took place. Mm-hmm. What do the after effects feel like when you come out of a seizure?
So, I mean, one, it depends on how bad it is, right? Yeah. So sometimes it'll be like a brain fog. Because again, right, you're kind of like, well, what happened? And you're trying to figure it out. I mean, it's kind of like a blackout when you're drunk. I'm sure it's the same thing. Yeah. Or when, you're geeked out on drugs and you kind of trying to figure out. Yeah. Or Xanax, you know that one. So it's kind of like that, where you're kind of just sitting back trying to figure out what happened. And then depending on what did happen, it will dictate the emotions that are carried with you. So, being sliced up and seeing my mouth, I was just blood everywhere. It was just like, oh, this is serious. Yeah. I can't just sleep it off, laugh it off. So there is a sense of confusion, and then there's a sense of you kind of don't feel like yourself. Really bad headache, like a migraine, and you're kind of just in this daze for a few days of I think sometimes just reality kicks in of man, I forget I have this thing, and it doesn't matter how good of a person I am, how much I pray, what I do. Like I'm epileptic, so I can have a seizure at any point. And so it kind of makes me reflect on life of like, like, okay, I need to remember like this is something I have, and just to try to figure out how to not have another one. But sometimes you can't really stop that.
Are the birds chirping a little bit louder right now?
Well, I feel like right now it's just like the medication. Like I'm going to stop the medication, because I'm honest, right? They gave me pain medication. I told them an addict. It's never been my thing. So I said low dose. Even just taking it for a couple of days because of my face, I'm like, I don't like it because it's making me feel foggy.
Yeah.
Even right now, I'm just like.
And we love our mental clarity.
I love it. Yeah. So when I don't have it, and I'm kind of
like something's off. Like, what's going on with me? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
But that's what I love about you so much is that even, it's funny. When I woke up that morning, I'm super intentional about not looking at my messages before I get into prayer and into my word. But I flipped over and I happened to look through them. And the first thing I saw was your face, right? And immediately, I called you up and you shared, what was going, what had happened, what was going on. And throughout the entire day, I got people calling me from, all different directions.
Yeah.
But still, you showed up for leadership the next day.
I was working that day. I was calling you. I was on the computer. I remember when I was in the hospital.
You called me editing the video.
Yeah. I was in the hospital and because I got rushed to the ER. My girl's there. They're stitching me up. And in my head, I'm thinking like, darn, I was uploading that video and I forgot to post it. I was like, all right, when I get home, I got to just post it.
Yeah. And now you're here today for the simple reason for our listeners, for our viewers, right, to be able to share what we're going through while life is still happening. We don't show up perfect. We don't show up cleaned up. We show up as we are, so that way we can be vulnerable and transparent with our listeners. Let's take a step back for a second, right? Give us a picture of what your life looks like today, Faust, and who is it that you identify with?
Yeah, so my life today is, I live on my own for the first time. I've never came from money, so it's a big deal for me. Two, I'm able to, I'm in love in a healthy relationship.
That's what I'm talking about. And you call her your wife.
I call her my wife, right? That's just how I am. I've been in a lot of toxic relationships. I've been in some good relationships, but this is the best relationship I've been in. And, I'm in a place where I can, be financially supportive, emotionally supportive, and spiritually supportive for my partner, which is something I thought I could never do. I take care of my mom. I've been taking care of her since 2013, but from 2013 to 2017, it was, I'm in my addiction, so I'm taking care of my mom, right? But, since 2017, in a healthy way, I've been taking care of my mom, which I can, which is nice. I have a job that I love. I get to work with, you and Alika, and I get to have fun and laugh and joke and travel and, just work out and, drink protein shakes together and that's our life today. So it's amazing. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a YouTuber. I get to speak at times at places. I've been on multiple podcasts and magazines. I've been on, YouTube channels like Soft White Underbelly. And, I just live a life of helping people. I own a peptide company. But mainly it's just, I just have the ability to help anyone and everyone that I come into contact with, because that's naturally who I am, right? I've always wanted to make life easier for people. I want to be the one person in life that thinks about you, that looks out for you, that treats you the way you deserve without having to ask for it. Whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's connections, that's all I want to be able to give to people. Is how do I make your life a little bit easier?
And I believe wholeheartedly that's what makes you successful in all different areas, of life, right? The person never buys the product or the service. They always buy into the person first. And that's who you are, outside of those tangible things that you were sharing, integrity is huge for you, right? You're a joyful person, right? You're a pleasure to be around, right? And people sense that. They sense that about you. Right? You were talking about toxic relationships, and now you're in a healthy relationship. Give our listeners a few different keys on what it looked like in a toxic relationship and what it looks like today in a healthy relationship with your wife?
Yeah. So in my toxic season of my life, which was a long season, my perception was I need a girlfriend. So every day was me looking for a girlfriend, whether it was consciously or unconsciously. You know, grocery store, at the gym, at a house party, at the bar, I mean, anywhere. It was just, I'm always looking to be loved. So I'm going to settle for whoever gives me that attention. And I'm going to commit to somebody from day one without looking at the bigger picture. I'm going to, become the person you want me to be in order to please you, right? The codependency in me. So, I would just, end up in relationships that weren't good for me. I would stay in the relationship even if they didn't like me anymore, even if they cheated on me. There was a lot of arguing, lying, manipulating, just break up, get back together, break up, get back together, cheating on each other. And so it was just very toxic, but for me, it was just like, I would do anything and everything just to feel needed. And to me, sex, because I was sexually abused as a kid, sex to me meant like, you want me.
Right.
So without that, then I would spiral, take it personal, and go looking for love in other places. So it was very toxic. And, when I would try to be alone and, trying to be single and love myself, I realized like it was so hard for me to just be by myself. As soon as somebody messaged me, said hi to me, whatever it was, I would justify that I need to be with that person, and it wasn't good for me. And even on the journey of healing, it wasn't fair to other people too, because now I'm just getting with you for me and not truly for you. So it's very toxic. It wasn't healthy. I was always a kind person, but when my needs aren't being met, right, then I become a toxic person. And so I always say like attracts like, right? So if you're broken, you're going to attract broken. So that's how they were. And so getting into a healthy relationship, it took time. One was I had to learn to be alone. So in recovery, I was alone for 8 months. It wasn't easy. Every girl that I had a crush on, I felt had a crush on me now all of a sudden, right? So I thought in AA meetings, all of a sudden there's this new girl sitting next to me who I think is supposed to be my future wife. So I'm sharing in that AA meeting and lying about my story, making it a little bit more cooler. I'm finding myself getting coffee with them a little bit too much. But, I was able to stay celibate for 8 months. And when I got into my first relationship in recovery, I still moved them in 2 days,
Right.
Still didn't listen to my sponsor. But it was within a month I realized like, oh, I don't want this. Like it's taken away from my recovery. And I was very, very focused and I needed my recovery. So I was able to break up for the first time with somebody, which I didn't do it the best way because I did after the baptism. I'm learning. And then I had an experience with making amends and thinking because I made amends to this girl from the past, then she liked me. And I was like, oh, now we're going to be boyfriend, girlfriend, hook up. And then I realized I can't just hook up with somebody. Yeah. That was the next lesson. So I had to break up. Again, didn't do it right, but broke up. And then I get into a relationship where I waited, I prayed on it. And to me, it was a God thing. And so I learned how to be in a relationship in sobriety. It didn't work out. But I was able to go through a breakup, and I was able to see I could stay sober through a breakup. And I was able to look at more things of like, oh, I need to do more work within myself because I'm still chasing the love of my dad, which is unemotional, emotion unavailable love. I'm still chasing that, right? And so going through that, doing EMDR therapy, learning to forgive my dad more, learning that I can't recognize healthy love. That healthy love may feel boring to me, but it doesn't mean that it's boring for me. So when I got into this relationship, I had like this idea of like, I know what I want. This is who I am. This is what I want. We're going to take it slow. I don't want to have any physical intimacy until I feel safe with you. This is what I've been through. This is what I need. And being able to communicate that.
Was that difficult, being able to verbalize that?
No, because I've always been good at being vulnerable, with my story. So I've been cheated on so much and hurt so much in my love life that I was so just like, man, like I need to figure this out, because I don't want to go through this again. So it's really easy for me to be real with my partner today, and the first day was easy because I was at a point of like, cool, if like this is too much for you, then goodbye. Because I'm okay with being alone. See, if I'm okay with being alone, then I'm okay with having boundaries. I'm okay with saying the truth because I know I'll be okay no matter what. When I wasn't okay with being by myself, then I'm going to figure out how to make sure I show up for you the way you need me. And so, got into a healthy relationship, and it wasn't easy. Actually, being in a healthy one was harder than being in an unhealthy one because I had to learn what it was like to be loved consistently.
Was it harder to love or to be loved in the new relationship that you're in now?
I think it kind of goes back and forth, right? I think in the beginning it was easy for me to love because it's new.
Yeah.
And then I noticed it's harder for me to love the longer I'm with her. Again, because I don't know what that's like. So
you're in that discovery mode now.
Yeah, like I don't know what it's like. I realize like, wow, love really is a choice. I'm so used to love being a feeling. Yeah. It's so easy. I love, and love is great, and I will do everything for you. Yeah. And I realize like that's just not reality. Yeah. Either one, it's a very toxic approach, or two, it's just like, yeah, when something's new, it's like that.
Just like an addiction, right? We're chasing feelings. So then when we enter within recovery, still chasing those same feelings that we were chasing, rather than, like you said, now every day it's a conscious choice to be with that woman.
Yeah, and and I've never seen a healthy dynamic ever. I may see like for example, if I see your mom and dad, we all hung out, right? I'm like, damn, that's so cool. But I'm only seeing a couple hours with you guys. We're coming over. But I've never seen like behind the scenes, like what is it like when they are mad at each other? What is it like when they disagree? How do they come back and fix it? Is there ups and downs? What are these things that they do with each other and kind of like happen? I've never seen that.
You never got to see what it was like behind closed doors.
Right. So for me, it's like I don't really know how to go, let me look at my memory book.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you're supposed to do. Really what it is sometimes is just like, hopefully I read it in a book. Hopefully I hear it in a podcast. Maybe I'll ask someone a question. And so I notice the closer I am to somebody, the harder it is for me to love that person. It's not because I don't love you. It's because now it takes work, because I naturally don't want to do this thing like I did in the beginning. Right. So I have to check myself to show up, but also to receive love. It's difficult too, because it's like sometimes I take it as like you're attacking me, you're controlling me, you're saying I'm stupid, I don't know what I'm doing, you're bothering me. And so it's me trying to be able to recognize those things of like, no, this person just cares about you. Right. This person's just asking you how you're doing. This person's concerned for you. This person has your back. So, and sometimes it hurts my heart when I'm like, man, I would make time for someone who doesn't care about me versus the person who does. Yeah. Like when I catch that, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like that's so dumb, but it's just.
We seem to think at times that the people closest to us already know that we love them, right? We seem to think that they know we're thinking about them, right? They should already know that. But the truth of the matter is that's not the reality. It's important that we verbalize it and we have that dialogue with our partners and with people close to us, just like when we come in contact with strangers, right? Let's share with our listeners, you were talking about that void of love that you had, right? How did that show up in your childhood? That void of love, like what were other ways that it manifested itself? We know addiction was one, but what are some other aspects?
Yeah, so I noticed I always got close to my friends' dads.
Yeah,
always did. I loved being close to all my friends' dads, my baseball coaches. I always love, man, Fausto, attaboy, that's right, threw some heat. You know what I mean? Like I would find myself being very like drawn to that. So, any kids that were males, especially older kids, even if it's 1 year older than me, just like, hey, Fausto, that was cool. So I was seeking that attention from male figures, coaches, friends, dads, the older kids. It was that getting good at stuff, performance, baseball, handball, working out, skateboarding, magic tricks. Like I was noticing I was always becoming a performer, seeking that male attention, trying to be funny, strong, good at something. That's how I kind of saw it manifesting, always in my, even like, I would even like lie and exaggerate stuff. I feel like, I'm like, nah, I got to like lie about this because they're not gonna like me because I hit 1 home run. I hit 10 home runs.
Right.
You know, I can't say that I ollied 1 stair. I gotta say I ollied 10 stairs.
Okay.
I can't say that, you know, I've been to Japan. I gotta say I've been all around the world.
Right.
So I started to notice, you know, like this aspect of me always seeking for love outside of myself. 'Cause I didn't get it at home. At home, I kind of just felt like I was a kid that was like, man, I'm glad my dad's not around anymore.
Right.
I was out. And some people are like, I wish my dad was there. No, I'm glad my dad wasn't.
How old were you when your dad, when he stepped away?
I think the first time I was like, first grade, second grade. And then I think he came back when I was in 5th grade and then left again when I was in 6th grade. So my dad was really never around.
What did your home life look like behind the scenes, like in your house?
So when my dad was around, it was just, you know, living in first I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment, right? When my dad was around, had my own room, my mom and dad. I could just always remember just being scared of my dad, constantly scared of my dad, always scared of my dad. He was always so angry. My mom always trying to protect me. And then I remember when my dad was not there, I loved it because my mom was a cool mom. You know, I can watch wrestling, stay up as late as I want, play skateboarding games, go play wrestling, watch wrestling, hang out with my friends in the apartment complex. So I was always outside the house, always. I had a lot of friends in the apartment complex, and we're just playing video games, skateboarding, biking, scootering, you know, making funny videos. So when my dad wasn't around, like I was just like a kid having fun, always having fun. I kind of feel like I didn't really have any parental guidance. My mom was more my friend.
No boundaries?
Yeah, no boundaries. My mom was cool. Like she was the cool mom. I mean, think about my mom when we were in high school. I remember she took us all to the beach, me and all my friends, to go, you know, we'd all hang out there and sneak beer and drink. And my mom picked us up, and my mom was wearing fake tattoos, fake dreadlocks with a Jamaican like hat, like a Rastafarian hat, a fake beard down to like her stomach, and like big Ray-Bans. Like that was my mom. Yeah. My mom was just a funny mom, you know what I mean? She was a character. So I didn't really have any parental guidance of like I don't think I ever had a conversation with my family of like, hey, Fausto, how are you doing today? Like, what's going on? Like, you know.
No family dinners at the end of
the night? No family dinners. Sitting at a family thing to me is weird. The first time I did that, I was like, do I eat my food yet? Yeah. Do I grab this fork, that fork? What do I do when I'm done eating? Did I eat too fast? Yeah. Do I just sit here? You know, I'm like, do I look left? Do I look right? So it was really just like, I was just like this kid just trying to figure out life.
Wow. And what were some traumatic events that you went through as a kid that you had to heal through as you stepped into recovery? Yeah, so, you know, I would say, again, the first traumatic one obviously is just having a really mean dad. Yeah. Right? So just feeling anxiety was probably the first one, right? Like anxiety, afraid. You know, you feel, when you're a kid, it's like you're trapped, right? You're not an adult. I can't say I'm leaving. Yeah. You know, I'm not going to live here. Like, I don't want to go. I'll do what I want. You can't. You just kind of have to be there. And there was no dad-son conversation? No. Like you're entering into this part of your life. You're going to start feeling these things, walk through these things? Nothing like that. Even till this day, no. You know, me and my dad are cool now, but my dad's just, you know, I always think there's just some people who probably shouldn't have kids. Yeah. You know? So there was none of that. None ever. Like, ever. My dad was not the dad where, you know, the dad was my son. Nothing like that. So I just remember always being scared, and then I think that's why I liked being outside the house. Outside the house is my safe space, you know. And you started looking for those father figures in all these other areas of life. Exactly. And then, you know, the older kids. I never got bullied in school, but there were some older kids in my apartment complex that, you know, they were cool, but then when they got together, I get it, I'm the young one, you know, and they kind of pick on me, bully me, and I was a sensitive kid, you know, so cry or, you know, get hurt by it. But again, I don't want to not be liked, so I'm still sticking around with the bullying. It's like, well, you know, if they don't bully me, then cool. If they bully me, and then I guess I just deal with it. Yeah. And so then there was that, you know, kind of being bullied outside now where I feel safe. Don't feel safe at home. And nobody's affirming you at home. Nobody's sharing with you, you know, the worth that you have. And it's so important as parents that we instill that into our kids, that we're constantly affirming them of who they are in Christ, right? Their identity, because if we don't find identity within our homes, we're going to count on the world to tell us who we're not. And it sounds like that's, you know, what you were going through as a kid. Yeah. And I don't think I ever had anybody speaking life into me that I can remember, because like, I had an older cousin too. So we'll get to my older cousin after, but I had an older cousin that I was always drawn to.
But so then those bullies one day, one of the kids sexually abused me when I'm like 7 years old, and I blocked it out. I don't really remember it. I remembered it when I was I got sober. But you can imagine, like when I look back at it now, it was like being sexually abused at 7 years old. Like I didn't really know what was happening.
Yeah.
There's at least something. So there was like a feeling, right? A physical sensation, right? Of like, it's like when a kid first probably, has sex, you know what I mean? He's like, whoa, this is what they're talking about, right? But I'm 7 and I'm feeling these sexual feelings, and not because it's right, because this kid's, touching me and stuff like that. And so I was just kind of like, it was overwhelming, and I kind of didn't know how to process it. And, but that experience never left my mind. Oh, what was that? Like, what happened?
Did you blame yourself for it?
So when he went back to bullying me, because he was acting nice to me when it was happening. Remember, mean kid was being nice when he was sexually abusing me. So my brain just went like, again, right? I just want to be accepted. So I just felt almost accepted. So it was when the next day we were all hanging out at the apartment complex, and he went back to being mean to me. And it was kind of like I would just look at him thinking like, what just happened? And almost him like acting like it never happened. So I thought I did something wrong. So I was scared, and so I was like, I can't tell nobody. And so I started keeping a secret at 7 years old that, I did something wrong. And so again, just trying to run away from that feeling. I mean, it's like having a guilty conscience. A guilty conscience, when you do something wrong, it lingers pretty strong for, let's just say, a couple months. And then you can kind of get to a point where you kind of just block it out, right? So, but as a kid, I'm just trying to like, okay, go to school, play video games, try to go to sleep, maybe eat some hot Cheetos, trying to run away from this thing. And for whatever reason, I was able to block it out. And then from there, it was fourth grade. I got a concussion, and I woke up in the ambulance in the hospital. I went to the hospital for a week. It was at school. 3 flags up. Some big kid fell on my head. And I remember I come to school like a week later, and all of a sudden I'm like the most famous kid in school. There's the, I like this feeling. Like, yeah, I like this feeling. So if I do crazy stuff or crazy things happen, I get attention innocently. So then that's what started this new persona of like doing jackass stunts, doing crazy stuff, lying that I've done this and done that. And then the next thing that came up was, I started getting seizures in 5th grade. The next year after Harry Potter 2, I had my first seizure. Got diagnosed. They put me on medication. And for me, it was kind of just like, oh, cool. I'm the kid that has seizures. Now I have a reason why I'm different, because I always felt different. I have a reason why I'm different. I have a reason why I shouldn't go to school. I have a reason why I shouldn't do X, Y. Everything that I was scared to do, I can use this thing to why I can't, leveraging it. And so I did that, any attention's good attention. And then when we hit middle school, this is when people started dating. And this is when, I got my first girlfriend. And I've always been afraid of girls, because I'm just nervous. I got no game, shy, again, no guidance, no brothers, no nothing. Right. And everyone's been talking down to me. Yeah. And I had this older cousin that I was drawn to. My uncle's always been good to me. But, he was my older cousin. He was going through a phase where he's older than me. He's changing. And so he kind of went, he's a little mean to me. Yeah. We're cool now. But, he went through a phase, and it is what it is. It was mean to me. So now I'm like, damn, everyone's so mean to me.
Yeah. Everyone person I look to now even being mistreated from that.
Yeah, same thing. Bullying me, beating me up, like calling me stuff, just whatever, ignoring me, just want to hang out with me. Right. So I always, again, felt so beat down, so less than. So in middle school, I played the character as like a punk rocker outcast. I thought like, well, if I play this person that is the outcast, because I feel like one, then I'm just gonna see what happens. And the punk rockers accepted me in their circle, which was cool. And then I get my first girlfriend, and randomly, and I got hooked. I was like, whoa, I like this. A girl likes me. This feels good. I feel needed. And then, that experience with the guy that touched me, maybe I could erase that, because it was making me question my sexuality.
Would ever pop up in your mind from time to time?
All the time, because it made me question my sexuality. Because you got to think, those kids are also putting porn in my face a lot. Yeah. This one, Satellite Dish was out. Right. And the satellite, some people that had satellite had all the channels, and they had porn channels. So they go, Fausto, look at this, look at this, look at this. And, so they're seeing porn, getting sexually abused. I think some of the older, like my friends, the older kids' older brothers we're like, maybe middle school, high school. So, they're having sex with their girlfriend. You're hearing that, seeing, so, you just don't know. I'm just exposed to stuff.
And we're so vulnerable. As kids, we're so vulnerable. And what we fill our minds with is the direction in which our life is going. So you're out in the world and you're getting all of these pictures and you're coming home and you're not getting that love over there. You're not getting that safety over there. You're not being affirmed over there. So now your life is being dictated by these environments that you're in.
100%, and so like, back in 1998 being sexually abused, again, I have nothing against gay people at all. I have a lot of gay friends, but at that time people were more closed minded about it. So people are saying the word faggot, they're saying all this stuff. So, when people would call me that, in my head, I'm like, oh, do they know what happened? So, so having a girlfriend kind of masked that pain of like, oh, I'm fine. A girl likes me. Okay. Whew. Okay. I'm fine. Because think about it. Like, I like girls, but someone forced themselves on me at a young age that's making me question do I like girls?
Right. Or am I straight? Or
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, somebody forced it on me. It's like you it's like, imagine you have a kid and you're telling this kid every day, you're stupid, you're an idiot.
And nowadays, we know about all these resources, right? We know about therapy, about counseling, right? About mentors. But as a kid, you don't have any of those resources. So you're trying to process this, in middle school, entering high school, you're trying to process all of these thoughts. And you have nobody to share that with. No,
because the smartphone's not out. Where you have the Razor right now. Yeah. The Razor, the Sidekick.
I remember them days.
And the BlackBerry. That's what's out right now. So there's no social media. Therapy's still a taboo. Therapy's still the weird, dude with like a,
Yeah, I'm not going to shrink.
Yeah, I'm not going to shrink. Yeah. None of that stuff's being talked about. So I'm just trying to process all this stuff as a kid. And so, yeah, so I get hooked to love. And that began the journey of, I just want a girlfriend at all times. And so, when the relationship didn't work out innocently, I took it as she knows I was sexually abused by a boy. So I would try to, fix it by changing up my persona, bodybuilder Fausto. Get the girlfriend. I'm fixed. She breaks out with me. She must know. Okay, change my persona. Skateboarder Fausto. Get the girlfriend. She breaks out with me. Okay. And at that point in 9th grade, I'm just like, dude, I'm having anxiety every day. Everybody knows I can't figure this out. Like, I'm stupid. I feel stupid in school. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm always nervous. I feel like everybody has it figured out. I feel less than everybody. How do I just avoid these feelings? Well, I just don't want to go to school no more. So I would fake being sick by using my epilepsy. Oh, I think I'm gonna have a seizure, Mom. Oh, stay home. Because what's the school gonna say? We can't say nothing of that. So I used my epilepsy to get out of class. And I remember at one point I didn't go to school for like 3 months straight. But they're like, hey, you can't do that. Like, they're gonna call the school. CPS. Yeah, because it's not good. So once I was able to, pretend to be crazy, I kept on pretending. I was having seizures. Yeah. So I got to a point where they're like, you don't have to go to school no more. So I started doing independent studies, which is you go to a school, pick up a packet of homework, and you have 7 days to finish it. And you do it at home. And so I was stoked. I was like, cool, I'm just going to stay home, work out, watch The Ultimate Fighter. Season 1 was around that time. Tell my friends, I don't go to school. I don't need to go to school. Stupid. Playing the persona. Yeah. All my friends thought it was so cool. Damn, you don't got to go to school, right? Because you're 9th grade. And, and then that's when, I got introduced to smoking pot that year. And, I lied. I was like, I smoke all the time. Yeah. Again, because I want to fit in. I didn't know what I was going to do. I never even wanted to do drugs. I used to be like, F drugs, all that, because I was an athlete. I was a bodybuilder. I was a skateboarder. I was always, I didn't believe in that. But all my friends that I went to elementary school and middle school with are doing that.
And what I'm hearing is there's these issues that are going on behind the scenes, right? Traumatic events, and any issue that's not addressed is being manifested into these other areas of life.
Mm-hmm. And so, it was as simple as just, you smoke pot. I do. I remember the first day we did it, Stairway to Heaven it was called, right by In-N-Out in Placentia. And I hated it. But I pretended like I liked it because I wanted to be accepted. Right. And then, just peer pressure from there. Fausto, hey, you're going to smoke with us, right? Yeah. And I hated it. But, when a couple weeks later, alcohol was introduced to me, I loved it.
Yeah.
So that one was like, oh man, like, okay, I don't like weed, but I like alcohol.
I found heaven in a bottle.
It did, because, you know, it's like, imagine you being an anxious kid your whole life and nervous and shy and insecure and overthinking and afraid of everything. And then you drink this bottle that makes you afraid of nothing.
Yeah, liquid courage.
So to me, it was just like the coolest thing ever, because now it's like, yo, what are you guys doing today? Where are we going? I'm down. You know, who's going to be there? I'm down. Oh, what? There's a girl that likes you? I'm down to talk to her.
Because now that confidence that was lacking, now you have it.
Yes.
So you feel like you can.
Alcohol saved my life. It really did. It made life easy. So, you know, life was fun with it. And every day was, how do I get a drink innocently? And then, you know, but that sooner or later kind of, now I'm in that environment of people that drink and smoke. So then what happens? Now there's ecstasy. Same year. Took it, loved it. Okay, so now I want ecstasy and alcohol. Awesome. And then, you know, get to a situation now where there's cocaine, crack, you know, and then there's crystal meth, all within a year. You know, I wish I never smoked that meth, but I did, and I fell in love with it. But I didn't know what the consequences were.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that, you know.
You didn't see the other side of it.
And I didn't know, like, hey, you ain't going to sleep.
Yeah.
If you keep on, you take more than one hit.
You're working for the CIA within a few months.
You know what I mean? You're going to get very religious soon, you know? And so I didn't know that stuff. So, like, innocently, as I'm smoking it, I was like, well, I can't go home. I'm realizing, no, I can't go home. Like they can't see me like this. Yeah. So, you know, I ended up getting molested for about 6 months. And, you know, I remember when it was happening, it was interesting because I remember the moment it happened. It's so weird because I'm a young kid. This person's an older adult. The reality is the older adult is in fault. It doesn't matter if I was okay with it. I was under the influence of meth. And an adult should never even entertain that. But it happened. And I remember it happening on meth. Didn't feel wrong. On meth, it didn't feel wrong, right? So when I got off the meth, I started a process of like, oh no, what just happened? It's kind of like when somebody like is married and maybe they think about cheating, maybe they get close to it, maybe they have nightmares that they did. They're like, oh, thank God I didn't do it. And then they do it. And then, you know, they kind of, the next day they wake up and it's like, oh shit, I really did that. And then now there's this person that's texting you, hey, I miss you. What are we doing next week? And you're kind of like, what did I just get myself into? What happens if I don't want to hang out with them? Are they going to tell my wife?
No safe places to go.
No, I'm a kid.
Yeah.
So it felt like that, right? I was kind of like, oh shit, like that just happened.
That's why I think it is so important for parents out there that you have kids to create that safe place within your home. You know, I tell my kids all the time, it's got nothing to do with the substances. It's not about the smoking pot, right? It's not about the alcohol. It's about the environments that you're inviting into your life. It's about the lifestyle that you're inviting into your life.
100%. And, you know, so, you know, it's like now this is happening to me and I don't know how to process it, or this person is not leaving me alone. And so it was kind of scary. You know, I kind of felt like trapped, like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm just a person that's going to get molested for the rest of their life. You know, that's what it felt like. And because I believed it was my fault at the time, right, I couldn't say anything again. Again, that's why I couldn't say anything. I didn't know I could. So, you know, I prayed for the first time and I just said, God, please get me out of this situation. I didn't know any other way. And I got out of the situation, luckily. And so, you know, it was okay. The farther I am away from this situation, time-wise, maybe the less I'll think about it.
Or the safer I'll be.
So in the meantime, let's just continue to drink and party, to cope with it and find ways to just get away from this. Yeah. And, you know, it was, you know, in the beginning it was hard because you're looking at your phone. Is a text going to come in? Are you going to get a call? Are they going to show up? Is my mom going to pull me aside? You know, like you don't know. It was very scary. You know, you hear certain things, like watch a movie of a rape scene, or just all these things are really hard to watch. Even to this day, I still can't watch any specific scenes. I get very triggered. And so, you know, from 15 to 18, it was just partying. And, you know, years go by. I'm like, okay, I'm safe. I'm going to be okay. No one's going to know. Same thing, you know, it's just like looking for love, trying to erase that memory. Every time I sleep with a woman, it will erase when a man touched me. That's how I look at it, right? That's like the cure. So fall in love again. And, okay, cool. I'm in a relationship. I'm going to be okay. But, it's toxic. I'm going into it already for the wrong reasons. So what's happening? I'm drinking too much ecstasy, lying, toxicity, cheating back and forth. It just all bad to a point where I end up, I'd always have these scenarios that would happen where I would drink too much, take too much ecstasy. So there was a scenario where, I wake up in the hospital and I, OD'd on a bunch of ecstasy and I fell down a 20-foot ditch. And I remember looking around the room and I'm like, crap, I'm in trouble because the cop's right there. My mom's right there. I'm in a hospital. Kind of like this situation where I'm like, oh, crap. Okay, this is like a big deal. So that I always tell people, because I don't want to go to jail. That's me. That's not my story. That's not for me. So I would calm down because I had to get drug tested and go to court every month for 2 years and like community service. So I calmed down. And my idea was just like always like fitness is always like a crutch for me. Oh, it's like get in shape. Go back to the gym. I love the gym. So work out for a season, started taking pro hormones and steroids.
Nobody's going to know if I look good.
Yeah, that's just how I think it's going to fix it. For whatever reason, like, that's my cure. Again, chasing some type of thing. But the reality is I'm always chasing to be accepted by a woman or the people around me. Like I always was fascinated. Maybe you know this because you played sports. When you see that young kid that's just like, that kid's going to go pro. You have that one friend where you're just like, dude, that kid that kid's so cool. Like, look at how he's just like the top pitcher in the league. Right. Like I'm good, but he's the top. Yeah. I'm good at hitting, but he's the home run king right now. Like to me, that was always such a cool thing. I always wanted to be that in something, So I was always chasing that to be like a Michael Jordan, a Tom Brady or something. So, I calmed down, working out, doing steroids. I get a job at a skate shop and, have a girlfriend. But I finish my court stuff and all of a sudden the drugs start, getting really bad again.
There's one thing that we can't escape, which is ourself. Yeah.
Every time. I'm always a person that like, we're all partying and I party by myself for a couple of days, and my mom was gullible. My dad's not around. I'm not going to school. My mom's at work. So I'd be up for days doing ecstasy and drinking and, hallucinogens and always just chasing this party. Go through a breakup, spiral. I think she knows I was molested as a teenager, sexually abused. So I spiral, get fired from jobs. And, I end up just partying to the point where I find love again. Some girl gives me attention. We hook up. I'm like, I'm going to be okay. I calm down. Doesn't work out. And I self-destruct. I remember, and I get fired from jobs. And
that cycle of insanity.
This is crazy,
doing
bro.
the same exact thing and expecting a different result.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, I'm not paying any bills yet, right? I'm not 21, so I'm not paying no bills. So that's why I can live with my mom. But it was when I turned 20, went through a really bad break, or 21, we moved because my mom lost her job. But she got a big severance for like $80,000. Back then, I don't know if that's a lot or not. We know it's not a lot, but I'm like, $80,000 you have in your bank. So my mom's like, cool, we're going to move to a 2-bedroom. Fausto, you can have your own room. It's going to be bigger. I have some money. Let's just, so I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Yeah. I turned 21 and the bar scene. Yeah. I remember the first time going to a bar, I could walk in and I can buy my own beer. I'm going to ask someone to buy me beer. This is what saved my life. So now I have control of it. So it was going to the bars, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, weekends, bar friends, being cool bartenders. And I've always been a kind, loving person. I get along with everybody. Yeah. So now I'm like, oh, dude, like the bartenders like me. Like, oh, I get discounts at the bar. Yeah. Like, I feel cool. Yeah. I'm going to bring all my friends here. So, the bar scene was my life. And I manifested becoming a server, becoming a bartender. And in that world, it's alcohol and cocaine is very acceptable. So I can drink and get high and make some money. And to me, that was making good money because you get tipped like $100, $120 a night. I was like, whoa, what do I do with this cash? Right. And everybody partied. And there's a lot of cute girls. And so I thought, this is the life that I want. It was fun. It really was a lot of fun. Like I had a lot of fun. I brought everyone together, threw big parties for everybody. And then my mom gets cancer. And so I'm like, oh shit. Chemotherapy. She was like, okay, I guess I can't go back to work, and I'm running out of money. So that's when I was kind of like, okay, cool. I got to step up and help pay rent. okay. You know, I was making good money as a bartender. I got it. So I'm doing that, helping my mom with the bills, and I meet a girl. I'm fixed. 22 years old, bartending, server, got a girl. I'm driving illegally, but I know how to drive a car now. Yeah. You know, because someone kept my license because I'm not seizure free cleared yet, and we're good. Mom beats cancer. I'm like, cool. And then, you know, that relationship is toxic again. And I'm doing a lot of dumb shit. You know, I'm not showing up to work, not showing up to my mom's chemo treatments, stealing my sister's financial aid money. I have probably 10 plus payday loans that I owe money to, lying to my coworkers to borrow money, paying people to cover my shifts, staying up for too many days. I'm having seizure after seizure after seizure after seizure from drugs, just ending up in dumb situations. And then I go through a really bad breakup and I just lose my mind. I'm just like, dude, I was like, here we go again. And now I'm like stressed out because I'm like, dude, how am I going to pay my mom's bills?
Yeah. Now I got some responsibilities.
Yeah, like I think I really messed up. You know, I always got like lucky. Yeah. Always got lucky. Somehow borrowed money from somebody. Yeah. Somehow made the money as a server. It was always like God being like,
was always watching.
Like, you better chill out.
He had bigger plans for you.
So but now God's like, nope. Now you don't have the ability to figure this out. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
So God's word says, what the enemy meant for harm, God will utilize for His glory. I want to tether both stories together, right? From where you were to where you are today, because with what you've been through, most people can utilize that as an excuse to drown themselves in addiction. What was that aha moment? Okay. And how did you begin to heal through all of these things?
Yeah. So for me, it was, you know, that last breakup. I think you can deal with pain, but when you keep on going through that same cycle of pain, I feel like your threshold to walk through it gets a lot harder. So I feel like that last breakup really broke me. I feel like there was no escaping a pain. To me, I always tell people getting cheated on to me is the worst pain. So happening again, and it just destroyed me. I remember I was driving 150 miles per hour down Imperial Highway crying at 6 in the morning. I come home and mom's like, what's wrong, my sister? You know, they always saw me. I was always open to them crying. Oh, she cheated on me. I show up to work that day crying. My boss is like, you good? I was like, dude, can I just go home? He's like, just wait till 12 and I'll send you home. He sends me home. And I just remember being like, I'm going to kill myself. And I attempted to try to kill myself. And that's when I knew, like, oh shit, this is why people kill themselves. Like, I can't.
Started becoming real.
Yeah, like, I can't believe I'm going to actually do it. And so that fear of it. And then I start to really think like, Fausto, your mom has literally cancer right now, going through chemo, and you're going to kill yourself. So imagine what that's going to look like for her. And I just broke down and I was like, dude, I need help. And so I didn't know what AA was. I don't, read the Bible. I don't read motivational, but none of that stuff. Again, no one spoke life into me. I don't have anybody like that. I have all fixed mindset people in my whole life, no growth mindset. So there was a customer at the restaurant I worked at that did magic tricks with us. We became good friends, and he had a story where he got locked up, came out, changed his life, right, and like completely changed. So to me, it was just like, oh, that guy's a miracle. I wonder how he did it. So I hit him up, and I said, hey, bro, I need help. He picked me up, took me to his house, and I just said everything. I'm addicted, drug addict, been molested, all this stuff. I'm just so broken. And I was just, I finally said it out loud to somebody because I wasn't telling anybody. And he just asked me, do you believe in God? And at that point, I'm just like, dude, I'll believe in anything. Right. And he read some scripture to me. And I still remember to this day, it was whatever he read, because I can't really remember exactly, but it was that God gives his strongest battles to his strongest warriors. And so it was a moment in time where time froze, and it was like, Fausto, that's how I perceived it. The reason why you've gone through so much pain and suffering is because you're strong enough to endure that pain. Because once you understand it, you're going to be able to help out people heal through it. Those other people that you thought, like, that you wish you were, they can't handle this. You're going through it for them. And remember, my whole life, I wanted to be the Tom Brady and Michael Jordan of something. So to me, to be able to be like, whoa, I'm not strong that I went through all that. You know, it was like I got what I've always wanted.
God's word says, I'll take the foolish things of this world and I will lift them to confound the wise. Everything that he put you through for a reason to be here today, to be able to speak life into others, to show up for others, and to be of maximum service.
Exactly. So, you know, I had my Tom Brady moment right there. I'm going to be the Tom Brady of helping people heal. And so, you know, it was just, for me, it was, again, because I chased feelings, it was an emotional high. I felt peace. And, you know, we know that, right? And I was just like, you know, I get goosebumps right now. I was like, whoa, is this God? Yeah. In my mind, I'm thinking like, I'm going to feel like this the whole life, you know, at that moment, right? So I'm like, oh my God, now I get it. Like, if this is the God thing, I want more of it. So the motivation to chase that high began. And so a show that I watched, because I always knew I had a problem with addiction. A show I watched, the fireman went to AA. That's how I knew of the word AA. I had an idea through a TV show. So that day after that spiritual experience, I went on my phone. I was just like, I think I'm supposed to go to AA. So I go on my phone, and it was like Alano Club, Fullerton, 11:30 podium meeting tomorrow, because the spiritual experience was Sunday, and Monday I went to AA. And I go there, you know. You remember, I've never been to one. So I walk in there, and I'm like, okay, you know, I sit in the back because I got anxiety, and I'm like, everyone looks kind of, you know, scary, you know, different. You know, I don't know what to expect. And they asked for like, any newcomers? And, you know, I'm like, what is that? Is this your first time here? I said, yeah. Like, do you want to share? I go, oh, okay. So I go on the podium, and I shared everything for the first time, you know. And this dude came up to me, and he was like, yo, me too. And it was like, whoa.
Someone finally identified with you.
Yeah. I didn't know anybody went through that stuff. I never knew there was a place to go to where people talk about that stuff, that been through that stuff. So it blew my mind because, again, I never been exposed to AA. So to me, it was like, whoa. It's like the first time, you know, reading the Bible, you're like, whoa. So I was so blown away by this community. And that gave me confirmation that there was purpose to my pain. It gave me confirmation that God was real. So I just said, okay, cool. What do I got to do? And, you know, get a sponsor. Well, the mechanic at my job ended up being an AA. So he became my sponsor because I felt safe with him. And he walked me through the steps.
And now little by little, because you're entering into those rooms, your mind's starting to change. So now you're starting to attract just a little bit different in your life. So first, now it's the mechanic. Oh, wow, he's an AA. You know.
And then the craziest part, right, and this kind of circles back, I remember because I got fired from one of my jobs, and the other two jobs were going to fire me, and I broke down crying to my jobs. So they gave me another chance. And Lucky Strike, where I worked at, the reason why my boss gave me another chance is because his dad had 30 years of sobriety at that time. Wow. I didn't know that. Yeah. You know, and his dad became my sponsor. So down the road after the mechanic, because the mechanic, rest in peace, my first sponsor passed away. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like God was always there. Like, that's why he didn't fire you. Because he had an understanding of addiction. Because my sponsor told me now. He goes, you know, my son called me that day. He's like, Dad, what do I do with this kid? Yeah. You know what I mean? He said he's an addiction, you know, because his dad knows that world. And his brother struggled with it too. And so that's why I got another opportunity. God was always there, you know. And so I was just, you got to imagine, my whole life I felt less than. And for the first time, I felt more than. So to get the sponsor, to work the steps, to go to AA meetings once a week at the time, to share, to buy people coffee, you know, give people a cigarette, give people a ride. And I just knew like I wanted what they wanted. So I would sit down after the meeting with the old timers. And again, you look at the old timers, you'd be like, I would never hang out with you. Yeah. You know what I mean? What are you wearing, a freaking Barney t-shirt? And you're like 80 something years old and you probably don't have a job, but you got recovery. Yeah. So I would just sit with them, you know, and they'd have a cigarette, have my vape. And then I'd be like, so like, what do I do? What am I supposed to feel? Like, how much time you got? Whoa, like, what did you learn? Where should I go? What book, what should I do? I was so just open to learning and I loved it. Because just having those older men be like, man, Fausto, so proud to see you here again.
What about their lives was attractive to you?
I think they were at peace. Yeah. And they weren't drinking and getting high anymore. And they used to, and they don't do no more. And they're just happy and at peace. It was that how they had that peace that I wanted. You know what I mean? And they loved me. So they loved me. And again, remember, I didn't have that. I finally had that love. Fausto, it's good to see you again. Fausto,
you're being seen, you're being loved.
Yeah,
you're being validated, you're being identified with. So now that thing that you were chasing all your life,
I'm getting it there.
You now found in this place in a healthy manner.
Yeah. And, and then that began the journey off the AA was like, okay, well, who's this Jesus?
Yeah.
So, I started trying out a church, trying out a Bible study. And at first it was interesting because I felt like I didn't know anything. So whoever did believe in God, I felt like they were the right way of believing. Yeah. I didn't know what was right or what was wrong, or maybe what could be a little too much, or what's more a people thing versus a God thing. And so, I started exploring churches and Bible studies, and, there's a lot of things that I felt resistance towards at first, but I was kind of just observing. And then I felt myself pull away from a specific group of people. And then all of a sudden, I meet the chief.
Yeah.
And he was somebody that the next person in my life, a mentor that came in, that loved me where I was at, showed me what I was capable of, and allowed me to discover Jesus at my own pace. Sure. You know what I mean? And I think like I really, really needed that. I really needed that type of level of compassion and love to explore what God was for me. And that's what began my journey too with God, was that. Oh.
And how were you affirmed that you started to believe in yourself? Like, what was it that, Chief is super gifted in that, right? He really knows how to bring the cookies down to where people can reach them, and just showing, the true authentic love of Jesus, right? The gospel could do one of two things. It can either expose somebody's sin, or we can cover it and be able to show them the love that we were first shown, right? What were some ways that Chief affirmed you that then had you believe in yourself and access this life that you're living today?
I think Chief is really good at so when I was a new person in the circle, he was always really good at, Fausto, how are you doing? What's the update? And I would say, Chief, I'm just I got 10 months sober now, dude. That's amazing. Yeah. And I'm reading this book and I'm learning about this and that. And he was like, dude, that's so good. He's like, can you share that with us? I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, everybody come together. Fausto, let's hear what you got. So I think him just celebrating me for whatever I thought, whatever I did, he was just so amazed by everything that I did that it made me want to do more.
Made you feel like you just hit a home run.
Yeah.
In the World Series.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. I kept on wanting to hit home runs. And so I kept on just, he allowed me to be myself. So I think him believing in me and whatever I wanted to do and just whatever I thought and tried, he was fully supportive of it. It really helped me start to believe in myself, you know what I mean? And I started to see blessings happen, right? So I think when I see myself, I saw myself, prayer was huge for me. When I got to see that when I prayed, my prayer got answered. In the first year, I feel like God was being a little extra nice to me, and he answered my prayers the next day. Yeah. Now he makes me wait. Yeah. But at that time, so I think a lot of that helped to affirm me, because God, I'm in this financial situation, I messed up, I owe all this money. How do I figure this out? I don't get it. I don't make that much money, but I have to help my mom out. And then boom, that next day I get a big tip. Yeah. Pays the bills. Okay. All right, God, I need to be single. I know I'm codependent. Help me stay single. And he did. He helped me. Oh my gosh, God, I'm thinking about getting high. Please don't let me get high. And I didn't. And so, I think Chief loving on me, celebrating me, and me, praying and seeing praying helped me. I started to develop this level of strength of I just need God in my life. Yeah. He's got my back. And he's proving to me that I'm stronger than I think. Because when I go to God and I'm around these good people, I tend to be able to get through whatever comes my way.
That void of love that you were always looking for in your father, in those environments, you now found in God. He has filled that hole that was within you this entire time. And you didn't have to become the skateboarder, right? You didn't have to become the performer. You were just able to be exactly who you were designed and who you were created to be.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest thing, right? Is I always felt like I was the kid that didn't like the music that everybody liked growing up. People liked, the Chris Browns, the Britney Spears, the Nelly, DMX, whatever was big, right? For us, whatever was big. I always liked stuff that nobody knew about. And I've always been like that. So I've always felt like who I was, there's something wrong with me. Yeah. It's not the thing that's accepted, celebrated.
Now you come to find out you were just set apart the entire time for God's special purpose.
Because who I was in the recovery world in the spiritual world. People love that.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing. I was like, oh, cool. So who I am, like, because people are like,
it's going to be celebrated.
Yeah, because people are like, you're different. And
Yeah.
we like that. I
We
go, what
want
do you
that.
mean? They go, you're just different. Because a lot of people in early recovery would be like, Fausto, you look like you have so much fun. You got sober Faust shirts. No one has that. You know, you're on social media every day posting about recovery. You know what I mean? You have a sober podcast already. You know, you're always just like, you know, reading books, speed reading, meditating. Like you're DJing at the rehab and you're making mocktails of Red Bull and all this stuff. Like no one's doing that. So I was like, man, that's so cool. Like who I am authentically is so like celebrated and everybody wants that to be around. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like I could just be me. And here it's like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But my whole life, it was like, it's a little strange.
Let's share with our listeners some practical tools that you utilize today, because you're now in recovery, right? And you're walking through your healing.
Yeah.
Right. You got God in your life doesn't mean that there aren't trials that take place and obstacles that come along your path. Let's share with our listeners some practical tools that you apply on a daily basis to access that life that you have today.
Yeah. So for me, one big thing for me is I always make sure that I have to have really strong boundaries with myself. So I need to, for me, I have ADHD, so I have to have a special structure for me that works for my way of thinking. So, for example, I tend to dress the same every day. Same pants, same style shirt. It just helps me not get decision fatigue. When it comes to food, I need a private chef to cook for me because I don't have the time to cook and I will overthink what I'm going to cook and then I don't cook at all. So I have a chef that cooks me the same thing every day so I can eat it on the go. You know, I have ready to go protein shakes when I'm in a rush. I have pre-blended smoothies when I'm in a rush. I eat the same meat every day, whether it's steak for a season or fish for a season. I always make sure that my love life is being taken care of. That has to be a thing for me. If I don't take care of my love life, then everything in my life gets thrown off balance.
You're getting super honest with yourself, right? This is what I need for myself to be able to love others. So I have to become selfishly selfless so I can be there for other people.
Yeah.
But if we don't take care of ourselves and we lack that, there's no way for us to be of maximum capacity to other people.
Exactly. That's why I work out, whether it's 4 to 6 times a week. It's like I need to work out. Working out for me is my decompression. It's how I reset. It's how I reground myself. So I have to work out. The second thing is I have to eat healthy, not for vanity. When I eat like shit, I think like shit.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. I can't. You know, I'm very sensitive to how I think. So I have to eat healthy. You know, I take peptides for myself, for mental, for physical, emotional, my health. You know, I'm very honest. I am on TRT because I messed up my testosterone when I was a kid doing steroids. Low T causes suicidal ideations and low energy. So I got to be in a therapeutic dose of that for me, right? So doing that and, you know, making sure I'm getting rest. For me, it's about 6 to 8 hours I need a day, you know, for me to rest. You know, I do a devotional with my girl. I'm always feeding myself things that are positive, whether it's reading a book, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a sermon, whether it's a conversation. I'm always having some positive things in my ear. And you know, I think a big thing is I'm always making sure that I'm humble in whatever I do. And I got to be very wise with my time. It's okay. What's the cost of my time? Not how much money is it? Not how exciting is it going to be?
You used to be always focused on the promise.
Yeah.
What's the promise here? What's the promise? Now we identify, okay, what's the cost? If I step into this, how much time is it going to take away from my schedule? That's going to take time away from my personal needs. That's going to take time away from my wife. That's going to take time away from my kids. So as we grow, the cost becomes higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, because it's to a point where, you know, I get to a point where it's like, I feel like I need an assistant.
Yeah.
I can't even text back sometimes. That's how busy I am. And not because I'm lazy. I just don't have the capacity to do it because of the lifestyle that I choose to live, which is not about doing, it's not me partying every day. No, it's just, I'm just trying to be able to have time for stuff. So, you know, as life gets busier, I have to delegate things and think twice about things. You know, it's not worth it. I don't care about that. Why? Because then I'm not gonna have enough time for me anymore.
I've always known you to be a big reader, right? Even some may call it the speed reader, right? We believe leaders are readers, right? Well, it may take somebody 20, 25, 30 years. We have the capacity to learn it within a short period of time, right? What are 3 books that have transformed your life?
The first one would be The Power of Curiosity, because that one taught me the 5 levels of listening. You know, I learned that you make more friends listening than talking, and
That's so powerful.
Yeah, and I naturally wasn't a good listener, not because I didn't care about you. I thought I had to talk to be liked.
Sound informative, sound intelligent. When
really it's, if you listen more, you're actually more liked. So that book taught me the 5 levels of listening, right? Listen to ignore, listen for me, listen for you, listen for us, right? And so that really taught me how to listen, which is what I'm really good at now. So I recommend that to everybody. The other book would be If You Think You Can, or if you think you can't, you can, or something like that, by Daniel Chidiak. But that was the first book I read in recovery, and for me, I never read a book to that point. So when I read that book, it was
like, oh my God.
This guy was like, I'm in recovery. I'm all, recovery? People talk about addiction in books? You know, I can't around thinking like, how do they know? And then, you know, he talks about, I was sexually abused as a kid. I was like, what's happening right now? And he talked about, you know, you should travel alone. And it's going to help you figure out who you are in life and what you like. And so I recommend that book, because that actually, at 3 months sober, I read it, and I left to Portland, Oregon by myself. I've never been on a plane until I got sober. So imagine I bought my first plane ticket. I've never been to Portland. I had no idea what I was doing. I just bought the ticket, and I didn't even know where I was going to stay. And I was there for a week, and it was the coolest thing ever. So I would say that book. And then the third book, that's very powerful. And there's a lot of books, but I would say The 4 Agreements. Never take anything personal. Never take anything, not some things. Never take anything personal, and don't assume anything. And for me, that was very powerful, because I was somebody who took things personal and assumed a lot. Assumed out of fear, because I'm used to the shoe's going to drop. Assumed to protect myself. And also I took things personal because I was so sensitive that I thought everybody was attacking me. And so that book really taught me how to kind of just like have like this level of perception that's like so in depth, where I'm like, yeah, maybe they did, but maybe they didn't. You know, you might be right, but you might be wrong. And that type of perception is really powerful.
One piece of advice that you received along your journey that you still utilize today?
You don't get what you want in life, you get what you are.
I love that one.
You know?
I was going to say that earlier on, right? Did you catch yourself not attracting what you want, but attracting who you are?
Yeah. And it's so powerful because it changes the game. It's like if you're not satisfied with the life that you have, then you probably are not the thing that it takes to attract it. So figure out the characteristics of what it takes to attract that life, and then just become those things. You know what I mean? Okay, I need to be respectful. I need to be kind. I need to be authentic. I need to love myself. You know, whatever it is.
And really embodying it.
And once you embody it, you do start to see it happen, because it's kind of like, you know, when you see your ex now, and you're like, man, how did I ever date you?
Instead of striving for it, you're living as if you already are it in this moment.
Yeah, become it. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when you see an ex and then you go, man, how did I ever date her? But at one point, you were like, man, I love this person. What happened? You changed. It's just like that. You change who you are inside, it will change what you want in life, what you attract.
What you see.
How you see things will be so different, you know? So that was very, very pivotal, because you have control of that. And I remember just being like, God, this is like a secret to life. And then I would see my life get better. I'm like, it's really that easy?
That was the greatest revelation that I ever had. And you know the story, you know, when I realized that I manifested a life beyond my wildest nightmares, right? But now, with the help of God, I can bring forth a life beyond my wildest of wildest dreams. But we got to start with ourselves so we can take back that ownership in our life, you know. And it's so powerful. Like, the power and the authority that resides inside of us is tremendous. We're created within God's image, you know. But it's so incredible, you know. As I'm sitting here, you know, we have this in-depth relationship with one another, but, you know, I love interviewing and sitting down to host a podcast, because I get to learn so much about people, and it allows me to have so much more compassion and understanding. And we're not so different after all. You know, we identify with so many different things with one another, even though we come from completely different walks of life. And that's the power of God. That's the power of recovery, and the power of love. You know, so I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, bro, for being on here today and for us sharing this relationship that we have. For anybody out there who's struggling, please feel free to reach out to our team at 877-587-1558.